What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Combat Lounge. I'm your host, Cade Morehouse. Backstage is my co-host, Dillan. He's doing Dillan things. Let's get started.
Now fires back. Oh, there's Fury with the right hand. Wilder's hurt. Wilder's hurt. He wobbled the almost fell over into the ropes. He is tough to go out.
Dillan, long time, no show, brother.
Hey, you know what? We're here.
We're here. I do have some big news, though. Cade Morehouse, myself, is now the newest member of Cage Side Press.
Hell yeah, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
You. Let's get it. See, we never really got to talk about this.
Real quick. I got a bone to pick with you. The disrespect to not have my face pop up at the end of the intro.
I know, we're working on that. But the intro videos, bro, they're not cheap, bro. They're like $50.
Listen, man. Did you hit up my guy Perez, who did that?
Perez is the one that charged
me $50. And you just tell him all I need you to do is add in Dylan's face. I know he ain't gonna charge you much.
Can you hit him up and let him know? Because I'll do it.
I can.
Please do, because I would.
I just feel left out, man. I just feel left out.
Bro, I told you I'll get you in, bro, but the funds are tight. We haven't gotten to talk to this UFC 288 card, man. Let's start off with the prelims, work it up. We'll keep it short and simple because we got some.
I don't know if I remember who fought on the prelims. I'm not to defer to you.
No, we're only going to talk about one fight. Matt Frevola and Drew Dober. A lot of people said Matt had no chance in that fight. He wasn't going to win that fight. There was no path to victory for Mr. Frevola. And he steamrolled him. The steamroller. Back in 21, he lost 2 fights in a row. He lost to Sarukian. He lost to Terrence. 2 tough fights. Since then, he's won 3 fights, all first-round finishes. Ray Longo has that man dialed in. What was your thoughts on the fight? It didn't last long.
I was one of the people, man. I didn't say he had no way to win, but I definitely didn't think his avenue to victory was going to be knocking Drew Dober out because, that shit doesn't happen. So when he sat Drew Dober, even when he sat Drew Dober down, I was like, oh, he's going to recover. He'll be all right. This is what Drew Dober does. Nah, Frevola put him away, and that was that. Super impressive. And I'm excited to see where he goes from here. Is this a fluke, or is Matt Frevola really going to make a run at this top 15?
Man, I don't see a fluke in it because he's getting coached by a guy that knows the game. Ray Longo told Matt going into that fight, follow your right hand, or let your left hand follow your right. He threw the right hand, he followed it with the left, and he put Dober out.
Yeah.
He's getting coached, man. Like,
absolutely.
He's getting coached to the next level. He's improving. And I like to see that in a fighter.
Yeah, man. Coaching matters a lot in fighting. If you can get a great coach, it's going to take your game up tenfold. Obviously not on the same level, but I used to do a little amateur fighting back in my day, and I started at one gym, kind of, got some training, had some good people there. But when I switched over to the gym I ended up staying at, which is Warrior Camp, which is where Terrence McKinney just was. It's where guys like Josh Reddinghouse still are. And you just when you get to a trainer who's basically dedicates his life to making his guys better and really knows the game, it is a huge difference.
Yeah, man. The next fight I want to talk about, it's not that I want to talk about the fight itself too much. It's more the fact of what's going on with Jessica Andrade. Jessica Andrade is a fighter that has been pretty good in her career. And these last couple fights, I felt like the previous fight, she took the Erin Blanchfield fight on too short of notice against a girl that is very good on the ground. And she dropped that fight. Then she comes over here and she fights. I always forget how to say her last name, but it is Jan Zinen or Zhaunen, or however you say her last name, and she's really good. I thought Andrade was going to get that fight. She had pretty much a full camp. She looked good, but she came into that fight and just was swinging for the fences. It didn't look like your average technical Andrade. So it kind of seemed to me like she was trying to get her out of there as early as she could, and it didn't pay off.
Yeah, I kind of see Andrade, I think, a little differently than you. I feel like this is kind of who Andrade is. I feel like maybe she's been a little more technical in the different fights, but I always felt like she was a swing and pray type of fighter, and she just had relentless pressure and a good gas tank. I've never really been super high on Andrade, and I just feel like anytime she meets a higher level, anybody who's a higher level striker or someone who knows how to gauge distance really well, or someone that can the rare times when someone can overpower her, she kind of doesn't really have a plan B. If she can't come forward and knock you out, most of the time she's going to lose.
Well, I mean, she beat the brakes off Lauren Murphy in one of the most impressive performances ever for a female fighting.
I've never been big on Lauren Murphy either, though. That's just me.
I get it. I get it. But, I mean, she beat the brakes off her.
Mm-hmm.
Then she comes and fights this young savage in Erin Blanchfield, which the world said Erin had no chance.
Blanchfield's a beast.
She proved everyone wrong.
I might have Zhaunen over Wei Li. I'm really impressed with her.
That's going to be a good fight, and that might actually sell the most pay-per-views. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's going to sell a lot of pay-per-views for women's MMA because it's just the battle of – aren't they both from China?
Yeah, when Dana's saying he's going to do that in China. I was just a little kind of taken back when they announced that Wei Li was going to fight Lemos. I thought they were going to immediately go with the fight.
Yeah, that's a good fight, but I think Wei Li is going to get out of that fight victorious. And I think it's going to set up this Yan fight. Obviously, Yan couldn't turn around and fight right away. That's just 2 weight cuts and everything in that matter. But I think that's going to be a great fight and a great selling point for the UFC if they market it the right way.
Yeah, no, this is going to be huge. Probably going to be the biggest female fight of all time because of where they're from, where it's going to take place.
I wouldn't say the biggest, man, because, I was looking at some numbers the other day, and I had this discussion with Eddie Law and Fred on their show, Keyboard Warriors, which go subscribe to them. They're a great show. They're funny as hell. But anyways, Ronda might still be the biggest female mixed martial artist in the world for one simple fact that she sold pay-per-views. Amanda Nunes is the most dangerous female in the world, but one thing that they have trouble doing, I feel like, with her is selling pay-per-views. I think she's a good co-main event, but I think that they have a lot of trouble selling pay-per-views with her. And so the Yan and
She
Zhang
doesn't,
fight
she
will
doesn't know
be
how
a
to sell
good fight,
fights.
but I don't think it'll be the biggest in UFC history, personally.
I think you had a good point with the Ronda thing. Let's say I think probably the biggest selling female fight outside of a Ronda fight.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for that though. But the next fight I really want to talk about, and then we'll get to the main event, and then we'll talk about some other things. What went wrong with Gilbert Burns, man? You think he just cut too much weight this year? I mean, this is already his third fight. We're in May.
I think he'd been back-to-back camps, man. You can get banged up a lot.
Back-to-back camps, and then before that, I think he fought a month prior.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to go through, and especially to go against a guy who's won 9 in a row like Bilal Muhammad, man. I picked Bilal to win anyway. I like what Bilal's the fighter he's become over the last couple of years, and I really think that he's going to give whoever's holding the belt when he fights for it a really, really good fight. I just feel like Gilbert burnt the candle at both ends and burned himself out, and then decided to go in there on short notice against the wrong guy.
Well, it's just it's all respect to Gilbert though, because and Bilal, but it's respect to Gilbert because Gilbert, actually, you know what? Respect to both of them because Bilal just came off Ramadan. His ankle looked like a volleyball.
Yeah,
and Gilbert saw an opportunity to possibly get his name thrown in the title picture after coming off a fight 2 or 3 weeks prior, and came and fought Bilal.
Oh, he's a tough son of a bitch. Gilbert probably could have sat and got the title shot anyway. It was
but he just looked flat, man. Like Gil just looked flat, and he looked like he had just he was drained, man. He had cut too much weight in too short amount of time. Those camps, time away from family, it all piles up.
It does. Yeah, that was a tough situation to put himself in, but I fully understand why he did it, man. You don't turn down these opportunities. You don't say no to the company when you're that close to a title shot, because that title shot could just never come.
No, exactly. Moving on though, to the main event, Aljamain Sterling and Henry Cejudo. We didn't get to talk about that one much. What did you make of Henry's performance coming back off a huge layoff? And what did you make of Aljo's performance? Being able to grapple with somebody of Henry's caliber and his striking and everything else.
This was probably the most impressed I've ever been with Aljamain Sterling. I really thought Henry Cejudo might be able to come in here and have his way with the wrestling. Aljo's a high-level grappler, but when you think about the difference between, like Henry was saying before the fight, when you think about the difference between a Division II wrestler and an Olympic wrestler, you feel like the Olympic wrestler probably got the advantage. But Aljamain went out there and he 50-50'd Henry when it came to the grappling. Probably he was a little more active in the striking. I think Henry was a little gun-shy for whatever reason. And he was able to pull it out. I did have it 48-47 Henry. I wasn't mad that it went the other way. I'm not out here, like a lot of these guys on Twitter. It was a robbery. It was bullshit. I think it could have gone either way. I leaned kind of towards Henry a little bit. I also haven't watched the fight back, though. I only did watch it the one time live. But I do plan on watching it again, and maybe I'll come out and think differently.
I feel really disrespectful saying this, but I feel like Aljo won that fight 4-1.
That's crazy.
I just feel that way, man. Like he was winning the striking battles. He wasn't really getting out grappled like crazy. I don't know. Henry to me had a lot of problems with finding his range and timing against a lengthy fighter like Aljamain, I feel like, and to me, I just think Aljo won the fight, and it was pretty clear, man. I didn't even think it was – I thought it was – so to me, there's a difference between competitive and close. Competitive, yes. Close, I didn't think so, man.
Really?
I didn't think
like
so.
I said, definitely plan on going and watching it back. Maybe I'll see what you're talking about when I watch it back, but just live, I felt like I leaned a little bit towards Cejudo.
Yeah, I mean, Henry after the fight, he didn't even sound like he wanted to do this anymore. He sounded pretty kind of irritated
No,
with the loss, but then he comes out on Twitter and says, I'm going to come back and I'm going to fight Marab.
I like that fight.
I like it too. I actually think that this is crazy, man, but I think that that's actually an easier fight than Aljo for him because the length won't be the problem.
Right.
If
He's gonna have to match the pace.
Yeah, I don't think the length is going to be as big of a deal against Marab as it is Aljo.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting fight.
Yeah.
Who would you pick in that fight, by the way? I haven't taped it or anything like that, but like just off the top of your head, like who would
Just
you
off the top of my head, I'd have to go with Cejudo. You got to think this fight he just had with Aljamain took Aljamain to the brink after 3 years of not fighting. I mean, he's been busting his ass working every day in the gym either way, but getting under the lights and dealing with fight week and all that shit. Some people might say that ring rust don't exist. I definitely disagree. But I'm getting a little more used to the grind again and not having to deal with the length. I think Cejudo get his gas tank right there where Marab's is, and I think he probably have a distinct advantage striking, and I think he has the wrestling to keep it on the feet if he wants to, and I think ultimately he probably get a decision win in my opinion.
Yeah, if I had to go off the top of my head, man,
It's tough.
I don't want to disrespect Cejudo, man, but I keep thinking at the pace that Marab fought against Jan, man, and but then and Jan's takedown defense is elite in my opinion, but I don't know, man. I can't pick that fight. That fight is that's a tough fight, I think, for either of them. But let's talk about another star. Let's move on from this card. Talk about another star. What about the performance, man, that Ian Gary put on against Daniel Rodriguez? That was a good performance, man, and that was one of those performances where it's like, look out, I'm coming, man.
Oh yeah, he made a statement, especially to do it to a guy like D-Rod, man. That's not an easy night out, and he made it look easy.
Yeah, I mean, he set that head kick up perfect, man, and he was trying to throw that all like almost the entire round. I mean, D-Rod's not an easy finish, man. That was a good performance. I mean, who would you like to see him fight next? The fight that would make sense for me for Ian Gary that I would love to see is him and Jack. I always forget his name too. Maddalena, I think is.
Oh, Jack Della Maddalena.
Yeah, Della. Yep. I would like to see him fight Jack.
I love that fight.
The UFC's not going to do that, though. The UFC's not going to do that.
That's what I was about to say. I love that fight, but you're going to kill off a future contender.
Yeah, I think they're not going to do that fight till those guys get to the top.
Yeah. What's really exciting to me is that Ian Gary is not going to be able to make 170 forever. And in a few years, your 185 division is going to consist of Ian Gary, Hamzat Chimaev, Bo Nickel. That's going to be stacked.
You don't think he'll be able to make 170? Why do you say that?
25 years old, and it's in his height, and he's just, as he gets a little older, he's going to put on natural weight, and I think at some point he's going to want to make the jump.
Yeah, I don't know. I really think that if you look at I can see what you're saying with that, but if you look at the 170-pound division, and I look at it top to bottom, and so many people will probably disagree with me, but I look at Ian Gary striking, I'm like, who's better? Who's better striking than him, man?
The only person who can
except even, maybe a couple people. I mean,
the only person that could really say anything off the top of my head is Leon Edwards.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
and I'm not sure about that.
Maybe Thompson.
Yeah,
I'm talking just striking.
Very technical striking. I don't know if Thompson's translates to MMA better than Ian Gary's, but if you're just talking about technical striking acumen, I mean, you really can't exceed Stephen Thompson. He just his ability to judge distance and range and be able to move in and out and find his shots, it's second to none. But I mean, not to say though, if he fought Ian Gary and the fight stayed on the feet, I'm probably picking Ian Gary.
Sorry, I had to plug in my
technical difficulties.
Laptop. No, I was just plugging in my laptop real quick. Didn't want it to die in the middle of the show. But, yeah, man, I think that there's obviously people that can beat him. I'm not saying nobody can beat him. Obviously, MMA is more than striking, but I'm talking just striking. The kid's good, man. I think he is a top 10, 170-pound guy in the world.
I think he's top 5 right now.
I don't think 5 yet. I think he's 10. I won't say 5 because I can't. I mean, you still got Colby, you still got Bilal, you still got Hamzat if he's still technically a 170-er, which he's still trying to fight at 170, I feel like. You still got Leon, you still got, Burns, you still got
I'd take Ian Gary over Burns.
You can say that, but you can't take away from those guys just yet. And just
No, it's not taking nothing from those guys. I just think Ian Gary is that special. If he went like for instance, if the UFC announced tomorrow that Ian Gary was stepping in and fighting for the belt against Leon Edwards, are you going to go out and put a bunch of money on Leon Edwards and feel comfortable about it?
I think right now, yes. I think there's some growing to do for Ian Gary still. Leon's a little bit. I think Leon's striking and just him as a champion in general is a tough matchup for Ian Gary right now at 25 years old. I think that does play a part in maturity, your experience, and everything like that.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't bet my house on it, but I mean, I would feel very confident that Leon can get that done right now. Maybe 2 or 3 years from now.
What I would say is, okay, if Leon Edwards right now is probably at his ceiling, right? Like right now is probably Leon Edwards. He's at his best right now.
Yeah, I would say.
So if his ceiling's here and Ian Gary is fucking up here, I have no problem believing that Ian Gary might be right here, right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're not going to find out anytime soon, but I would say, I mean, Ian jumped into the rankings at number 13. One more fight, he's probably in the top 10. So I think the next year and a half, man, it's going to be big for Ian Gary, man, because he's going to get tougher fights.
Yeah.
And everything's going to get harder, and I think we're going to really see who Ian Gary is if he's made for this. Right now, I think he is. But we haven't seen him fight. I mean, D-Rod's a good opponent, right? But we haven't seen him fight somebody in the top 10 or something like that. So, I want to kind of see, what happens next for him. And I think this next year and a half is big for him.
And let's say he does stay at 170. Say he wins the belt, right? Then say Bo Nickel or Hamzat's the champion at 85 in a couple years. Can you imagine that super fight? There's just so many.
I gotta see Ian Gary get tested against somebody who could take his ass down, because I up to this point, man, I haven't seen anybody attempt it really.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it. Michael Chiesa just got announced for a fight, but before
he's fighting Kevin.
Yeah, but before that, I was thinking maybe Chiesa would be the right fight for Ian Gary to be tested. I can't hear you, man.
Yeah, I know. I muted
there
me.
We go.
I said Gary and Holland would be something.
Yeah, maybe we get to see that eventually. I'd be interested to get Terrence back on here and ask him, because Mike Chiesa was one of Terrence's wrestling coaches in high school, and now he trains with Kevin Holland.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
that is interesting. Let's move on to the main event of that card, bro. What do you make of Jailton Almeida, man? Like, if you really break him down, like, the scary part about him is like, I think that he is a great wrestler, but I think when he gets to like the tougher fights, like a Sergey or a Pavlovich or what's some other good heavyweights names? Like a Cyril Gane or someone like that. I don't know. Maybe not Cyril, but
yeah, I was about to say I think a Cyril Gane fight would look a lot like the John Jones fight.
Yeah, like he's such a good wrestler, man, and like there's not a lot of heavyweights that can stop that type of wrestling from a heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing with Jailton Almeida is he throws these stupid kicks. That's just like it's destined for somebody to clean clock him, bro.
Yeah, I think he's just not scared of somebody trying to capitalize on a takedown off his kicks, as long as he's not getting cracked. Which I mean, he's leaving himself open to be hit, but I think he's just not scared of someone catching his kick and taking him down.
I mean, I picked him to beat Biggie Boy, but when he shot his first takedown and was unsuccessful,
he's bounced off him.
You're in trouble, bro. And then he got it, and I was like, okay, he's going to work this fight now because now he's going to tire him out on the ground and stuff like that if it went another round, which it didn't. But I was like, when he stuffed that first takedown, I was like, dude, you might be in trouble if you can't take this big boy down.
Yeah.
Because
he can
don't think you could strike with him. I mean, what did you think of his performance, and what do you think's next for him? Because I think he just cracked the top 10, man.
Yeah, it was impressive. I'm just excited to see some new talent in the heavyweight division because everybody we know it needs it. Honestly, if I'd shoot him right up to Sergey Pavlovich. Fuck it, you don't really have any other enticing fights for Sergey besides the heavyweight title fight, which is already going to be Stipe and Jones. So I'd give him Sergey Pavlovich right off the bat. I don't see anything interesting outside of that in the heavyweight division, really. I'd give him Sergey and see who's the next big star.
No, actually, when I'm looking at this right now, because he jumped up to number 9, there's so many other guys that he could fight. You know, he could fight Volkov. He could fight maybe Tai Tuivasa. But what about him and Curtis Blades, man?
That's one I could see. That's one because he's not going to take down Blades at will.
Wrestler.
Yeah, he's a.
And Blades, in my opinion, I think Blades can strike. I think he tried to strike with Sergey, and I was
dumb.
That's a little stupid,
I picked Blades against Sergey because I thought he'd be going for broke for a takedown. I figured once he got the takedown, that'd be a wrap. But
yeah, I mean, I know we're jumping off topic a little bit, but like everyone's talking about this John Jones and Stipe fight. I'm like, yeah, bro, that's cool, but John's probably gonna roll him up, bro. Like I'd rather see John fight Sergey than Stipe, man.
I would too.
Like that fight just makes way more sense.
Yeah, I think Stipe needs to retire. I don't think we're gonna get the same Stipe that fought Cormier ever again.
No, man. I think John will I think he'll end that fight in the first 2 rounds, if not the first.
Yep. Everybody thought that DC was gonna wrestle Jones and all that, and look what John Jones did to DC.
But John's not a bad wrestler himself, though.
No, he's in MMA. He's better than Cormier. He proved that.
I want to get to this though. You know what? I'm just going to say it, bro. I don't even care if it sounds unprofessional. Some dickhead that stood up there at the press conference at the Nate Diaz and Jake Paul thing,
yeah,
and was like, I'm trying to get onto the undercard. I'm a boxer myself. You think I could box your brother? Because if he's anything like you, I think I'll whoop his fucking ass. And Nate's like, bro, you know all my homeboys are sitting right here? Like, we're not going to see you 10 minutes from now outside this press conference?
He was like, you fucking stupid.
And this dude was like, yeah, I'm kind of nervous.
You should be.
I'm like, bro, why would you? And did you see, dude?
Oh, I saw him.
Like, I'd love to take some of this big boy meat and put it onto him.
Yeah, bro, looked like he weighed about a
chance, bro. He weighed like a $105.
Jesus.
I mean, I'm like, bro, why do people, out of all the fighters, and I'm not saying this, bro, like I would never test a fighter. I respect all the fighters, especially as a media member, but why out of every single fighter do guys continue to test the Diaz brothers, the Connors, the guys
the ones that'll put hands on you outside of the cage?
Yes, exactly. And the Diaz brothers roll 50 deep everywhere they go.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are you talking shit to a mob that's down to fight from Stockton, California?
Yeah.
I don't get it, bro. I really don't get it. Derek from whatever
Better
media, dude, you are a dipshit.
Even his boss had to tell him he was a dipshit.
No, his boss paid him to do that shit.
Oh,
His
did
boss
he? I did not hear that.
Dude. Huh?
I didn't hear that.
I know he did, bro. They're friends. And go back and watch the video before he said that dumb shit. He was laughing. He knew what he was about to say.
Stupid.
That's
funny.
And bro, I don't even care, bro. Nate Diaz would have fucked that kid up.
Oh, of course.
Nick. I'm sorry, Nick.
Anybody.
If he would have boxed Nick, he'd have got his ass whooped. Derek from Better Media. What a jackass. Because of those jackasses, it's hard to get into events.
They need to get me on the card. I'll fight them.
Yeah, you demolished that poor kid, man. That kid, like I said, he weighs like $105. Oh, Jesus, man. Anyways, we'll get off Derek from Better Media. What a jackass. Francis Ngannou signs an exclusive deal with PFL. A lot of people are upset with his legacy, or questioning his legacy and all these other things because he didn't fight John. Here's my take on it, and then I'll let you go. Francis is creating his own legacy, in my opinion, because it may not be that he didn't. It may be that he didn't fight Sergey Pavlovich or John, or take those fights that all the fans wanted to see. And I get it. The fans wanted to see it and all this. But Francis didn't have that in his cards. He signed with PFL. He got a huge extension that allows him to, I believe, box as well. And every fighter that fights him will make a minimum of $2 million. Whether those fighters or not have the name or deserve the $2 million, as people have been talking about, the legacy that Francis is setting is that MMA fighters in general can start getting paid more. And if he changes the way that these fighters get paid, in my opinion, that's a legacy in its own right. That's my take on it. I think Francis did what was best for him, and I'll never hate a guy for getting paid. So what? He didn't get paid by the UFC. The PFL paid him bank. He cashed out, and he's cashing other fighters out that fight him. Even if they're not good enough to fight him and he knocks them out in the first round, they got $2 million. I mean, well, I don't want to sound like this or anything like that, but Francis, you can come knock me out. I'll take $2 million. I mean, he's setting these guys up for success, man. And to me, I think it was a good deal for him, man, and other fighters. No matter their name, it doesn't matter, bro. He's setting them up to get paid, and he's setting up, hopefully, for the sport to change the way that these fighters get paid. And like I said, if he changes the way that MMA is looked at and these guys start getting paid more and maybe they get insurance down the line or whatever he's going to be a big part of that, like a pioneer almost in a sense. So for Francis, I don't mind it, man. I think he did what was best for him, and I think he's helping out tons of others, man, in this game.
Okay. So before I get into why I don't like it, I'm gonna come out and say I respect someone getting their bag. I respect him getting the bag for the other fighters. And that's great. He's helping out more than just himself. But is anybody going to care in a year, in 2 years? After he has that first fight and he fights somebody who, the first fight, I guarantee you they're going to find somebody with some sort of name recognition. I don't think the guy he's going to fight first is in the PFL right now. But after that fight, and they have to continue to get him fights, is everybody going to keep tuning in? I don't think so. And I think the PFL is going to realize that they made a mistake when they're not cashing out on the man they're cashing out. I just think that his name isn't as big as he thinks it is. He's in a shadow from John Jones. Nobody cares about watching Francis fight Tyson Fury. Nobody cares about watching Francis fight Deontay Wilder. He's both of those fights. I'm sorry. If they put even in 70% of their effort, they're knocking him the fuck out in the first 2 rounds. He's losing out on legacy, which maybe he doesn't find that important, and more power to him if that's the case. But
here's my thing: we'll never know, because what if he goes on to fight Sergey and John and he loses both those fights?
Then his name is still attached to the biggest heavyweight fights in history.
I understand that, but I don't think he really cares about that, because at the end of the day,
if you don't care, then hey.
And I really don't think he cares, because I think at the end of the day, his goal is, and it was his goal with the UFC, and they wouldn't honor it, which, I mean, that's fine. They've done business a certain way, and they're not going to change their business for Francis Ngannou. But I just think that the way that he's trying to get other fighters paid, I feel like this is a step in the right direction, in my opinion. And if he's a part of that in itself is huge for the sport, because he's going to be known as one of the guys that stepped up and actually did something to change the way that fighters are paid.
And that's great. That's commendable.
I don't think it matters who's tuning in. I'll tell you right now, if he fights Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder, I don't care who tells you they don't care. That's going to sell pay-per-views, even if they whoop his ass. It's selling pay-per-views. I mean, they're going to buy it. People. That's what people do. People buy Jake Paul fights.
Jake Paul has way more followers than Tyson Fury or Ngannou combined.
My point is, if they buy that bullshit to watch him fight Nate Robinson and all these other fucktards.
But it's not real fight fans paying to watch Jake Paul for the most part. It's YouTube fans. These guys don't have that.
Francis has a name, though, man. And if he signs up to fight a Deontay Wilder or a Tyson Fury, people are going to.
He better get one of those fights, because if he doesn't, then there's no other fight that he's not going to get any fight in the PFL that's going to sell.
I do agree that he's probably not going to get a huge fight in the PFL, but
and it doesn't sound like Tyson Fury is even interested anymore.
Well, the fact that whoever fights him gets $2 million, that to me is insane. Yeah, sure, I'll fight you, Francis. Get $2 million.
Do you know how many fights he got on his PFL deal?
I did not look into that. I don't actually know.
If it's 5 fights, the PFL is going to be begging to get out of that contract after the 3rd fight. They're not gonna make that money back.
The PFL honestly doesn't do too bad as a promotion already. I mean, I remember a couple events ago that they just put on. I mean, they had everybody there.
Yeah, I mean, they're not paying nobody $10 million until now, though.
No, but I mean, they put on tournaments where the fighters can win $1 million. I mean,
it's dope. I like PFL. I don't paying somebody that much changes the game. You got to make that money back, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know we can agree to disagree. I think there's a bigger picture to it all than Francis, I guess, fighting who he fights. It's just there's a bigger picture to it, in my opinion.
There absolutely is, but the PFL at the end of the day has to pay that money out to the guy he's fighting too.
Well, I mean, hey, they signed up for it, and all he's trying to do is change the game. And if PFL paid him that much money and he was worth that much to PFL, then that's their problem.
Best of luck to him.
That's their problem. But to me, I'm like, hey, man, you want to change the game, bro? That's a legacy in itself, dude, if you can pull it off. Because nobody to this point's been able to do it.
You got a point.
But we'll get past that subject. We touched on that. I want to touch on this one. Alex Pereira is going to make his light heavyweight debut against the Polish guy, Jan Blachowicz. How do you see that fight going?
See a first-round knockout for Alex Pereira.
You know what? I was on Alex too when that fight first got announced, and I started looking at some things, and I'm like, dude, Jan's a big dude, and he handled Izzy the way he needed to handle him. And I think Jan's got the wrestling to put Pereira on his back, bro.
He better get it done quick, because I think all Pereira's going to do is have to figure out how to stop the takedown in that fight, and then Jan is completely fucked.
But is he really, though? Because that dude's got power in his hands, and he could fight.
He can, but striking at Pereira's level is a lot different than knocking out, the guys he's beaten.
Because a lot of people said Izzy was going to go to light heavyweight and just pick him apart, man.
I mean, if Izzy went back to 205 and fought Jan right now,
I still think Jan beats him.
Oh no,
Izzy's not big enough to fight.
Izzy was putting it on.
Alex might be.
Izzy was putting it on him until the light went off in Jan's head to start shooting for takedowns.
And he couldn't stop him.
No,
and will AP be able to stop him? Because Izzy took his ass down in the first fight.
Yeah, I don't know. Jan has a shot. I just don't think he's going to get to the takedown fast enough. I think Pereira's going to catch him early.
I'm excited for that fight.
That whole card, bro.
I'm interested to see how Pereira transitions to 205. Because everybody knows he had trouble making 185. I mean, there's no way to say he didn't have trouble, man. He was weighing like 230, 235.
So who's to say that if he didn't have to cut that weight, does Izzy still take him down? It could have been drained. Could have, a lot of things.
I don't know. I say when you choose to cut the weight, then that's
you made that call.
But this is the bigger fight I want to talk about. Jorge Masvidal vacates the BMF belt. And he's giving his boy Dustin Poirier a chance to go prove he's the BMF against the BMF, Justin the Highlight Gaethje. Now, everybody knows I love both those guys, but I love Gaethje. I'm going to talk to Gaethje tomorrow. I'm going to get his thoughts on this fight now that it's official. I'm excited for that one. I am excited because I feel like the first time they fought, this is a completely different Justin Gaethje. A little bit more mature, a little bit more calm in his approach. At least that's what he showed against Fiziev and Tony. But he was a little wild against Oliveira, which, I think he was excited. It was in front of his home crowd. It was for a belt. I think he got a little excited there. If Gaethje fights this fight like he fought against Tony and Fiziev and is real calm versus the fighter that Dustin is, one of the best boxers in the game, tough as nails, Gaethje's tough as nails. I mean, how do you see that fight playing out? Because when I look at that fight, the first one was good. But now we're getting a more mature Justin Gaethje, I feel like. I feel like we're getting a more calm one. I feel like if he fights – and I think Justin knows that this is probably his last run at a belt because after his last fight, he said, I'm not going to be around much longer. He goes, this might be my last run. And that's okay for him to say that and admit that. But I don't know how this fight's going to play out, man. I feel like this is going to be a great fight. I think Justin honestly can get it done. But Dustin's no slouch, man. That dude is a bad motherfucker. And there's a reason these two are fighting for the bad motherfucker championship. How do you see it playing out?
First of all, I think, you got the right fight to bring back that title. Well, after the first fight, man, Gaethje gets wild. He gets crazy. As of late, he's shown an ability to kind of hone that in and kind of focus in. Having said that, I still lean towards Dustin Poirier on this. I I think Dustin's shown that there's not a lot of guys out there who can get the job done against him these days.
Dustin hasn't. It's okay to pick Dustin. I'm not going to disagree with you because Dustin really hasn't lost to anyone other than a champion.
Yep.
Other than as of late.
Yeah. I don't know if he knocks out Gaethje this time. I think Gaethje might be a little smarter and not make himself as easy to hit. But I got a 5-round decision in the way of Dustin Poirier. There's no universe where this is not a fucking amazing fight, though.
Here's where I'm like, you know what? I'm leaning Justin a little bit. Poirier's been talking about getting out of this sport since a little bit before the Conor fight, his second one. I don't know what Dustin wants to do at this point in his career. If he loses this fight to Gaethje, is this the last time we're going to see Dustin? I mean,
I would imagine.
I don't know. But here's what I'm saying. The first fight that they had, Dustin finished Gaethje, but who was in the hospital? Gaethje was out there partying after the fight.
Yeah.
Living life. Dustin was in the ER, and I'm not disrespecting him. But that tells you what it's like to fight a guy like Justin Gaethje, man. It really does. I mean, this is a 5-round fight again, man. That's a banger, man. I mean,
yeah. No, it's especially, and this like I said, this card as a whole, man, is just nuts.
Let me ask you this. What advantages do you think Dustin has over Justin? And then what advantages do you think Justin has over Dustin?
That's tough. I think they stalemate each other just about everywhere except for the technical boxing. I think Dustin does that a little bit better than Gaethje. Not by a lot either, but the wrestling, I think, stalemates each other. I don't think you have to worry about jiu-jitsu too much with these two.
Well, Dustin's a black belt. Gaethje doesn't even have a belt in jiu-jitsu, but Gaethje's wrestling's pretty good.
But the ground game, yeah. I don't think you need any more, but I don't think it gets – and these guys aren't going to go out there and try to triangle choke each other.
Here's the key for me for Justin to beat Dustin. It's one simple answer. Actually, two answers. He's got to control the feet of Dustin, and he's got to throw that jab. Trevor Whitman has implemented in all of his fighters and has expressed how important the jab is. And when Gaethje started throwing it against Fiziev is when he started taking over. The second thing is Gaethje's got to throw the leg kicks often and early.
Yeah. He's
got the nastiest leg kicks in the game, and he throws them hard. And every time he throws them, he hurts my fat-ass legs sitting on the couch. Those are the key to victories against Dustin. If he doesn't do those two things, I think Dustin can start finding his range, finding his comfort, and but I trust Gaethje to go out there, man, and do his thing, and I trust Dustin to go out there and do his thing, and I think it's going to be a clash, man. Like, these two aren't in very many fights that aren't exciting, and Chandler and Poirier was exciting. Chandler and Gaethje was exciting, and Chandler couldn't beat either one of these guys, and I'm interested to see these two go toe-to-toe, man. Like, it's one of those fights that really – this has been a weird year of fights for me. Where I'm like, it's not the best year, but it's okay. But this is a fight that's like gets me out of my seat and is like, I can't wait for this fight. This fight is just something just brings the fan out of me.
Yeah.
To want, just can't wait to see these guys, man. Like, what's up, brother? I just can't. I can't wait for this fight, man. I can't express that enough, to be honest with you. I mean,
yeah, no, I don't really care who wins. I'm excited to see these two go at it.
Yeah, man. I'm pretty sure we touched on everything, man. Is there any other fights coming up that you want to talk about? I know that UFC 290's got Volk and Yair, which is a pretty solid fight. I'm leaning Volk. I don't think anybody at 45 is touching him right now.
No,
and
a lot of guys. I will say if anybody could catch him with something, Yair would be the guy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people had high stock in Arnold Allen, and they have high stock in Taporia. I mean, I'm pretty sure Max shut down the whole Arnold Allen thing.
Trying to
Which
tell
I
everybody my boy
respect.
Max was going to put
I
it
try to
on
tell them
that.
too, but
They don't listen. Don't listen.
Not everyone likes to listen. But they got that fight going on. I think Bo Nichols fighting Trishawn Gore on that card. I think what's the co-main event of that card?
It was, isn't it?
I'm gonna look it up. I forget.
Is it Shevchenko Grasso?
No, it's Moreno and Pantoja.
That's a good fight.
Yeah, Pantoja's 2-0 over him, man.
Pantoja's a beast.
And then obviously we got UFC 289 coming up, Nunes and Aldana. Now that Pena broke her ribs, the fight on that card that everyone's looking forward to is Oliveira and Dariush. Before we get off here, I want to know, how does that fight go down in your head? Because that's one of the fights that I'm not able to pick either. I mean, I was leaning Dariush, but then I look at some of the things Charles does to match up with Dariush, and I think that's going to be a great fight.
Should be a good fight. I got Charles in that one. I don't know. I don't know what it is about me, but I've never really took Dariush seriously as like a top elite guy. If he beats Charles, I'm gonna have to change my tune, obviously. But I just don't like.
Dariush is the Bilal Muhammad of lightweight.
It took
so much disrespect, man. That dude is a banger.
He doesn't have that signature win for me. This would be it.
If he beats Oliveira and you don't give him a title shot, we riot.
No, he absolutely deserves every bit of a title shot if he beats Oliveira.
Yeah, man. That's one of the fights I can't pick, dude. I'm excited for that fight too. I think that's going to be.
I got Oliveira by flying triangle at 4:59 of round 5.
Nunes and Aldana, man, is another fight where Aldana can throw hands, man. But I think Nunes finishes that fight, bro.
Yeah, I think Nunes got off lucky with Pena going down, and
she didn't get off lucky. She beat the brakes off Pena last time. No disrespect.
No, she did not.
Yes, she did. Go back and watch the fight.
I will, but she almost got subbed 3 or 4 different times, and I guarantee you, and I will put a bet with you on this. When they have that third fight, Pena is going to beat Nunes.
She almost subbed her 3 times.
Go back and watch the fight.
And I almost made $100,000 last year, but I didn't.
That's great. I'm just saying, man. You get to the ground and you give that many opportunities to somebody. You can't keep doing that over and over again. She got lucky and didn't get caught, you know. But Amanda Nunes doesn't have that dog in her like Juliana Pena, and Juliana's going to figure out a way to get that done in the third fight. Mark my words.
She beat her because of the COVID and all the BS she was dealing with the first time. Then the second time came around.
Excuses are like assholes, bro.
Oh, my Lord, man. Anyways, we touched on everything. We're coming up on an hour. It is always a fun time with my co-host, Dillan Shaules, freaking Mr. Goofy over here.
Mr. Highlight of the night.
But anyways, guys, we'll catch you next time. We're going to be doing some more shows here, probably trying to do 3 a week. You know, I'm just trying to get Dillan to get on the show.
You know, man, if Cade over here stopped taking so many goddamn naps, we'd probably have a lot more shows.
Dude, Cade's been busy, bro, putting in work.
You know, them naps, somebody's got to take them.
But anyways, guys.
Hey, just make sure you save that allowance so when Pena beats Nunes here and sometime next year, you can send me my money.
Well, good news is I bet somebody $500 that the Raiders would make the playoffs, and I don't think it's happening. So let's.
Why would you do that?
Let's put 500 on a.
Have you seen our defense?
Yeah, I know. All right, guys, we're out. We'll be back. I don't know, probably tomorrow or the next day.
$500.
Wilder now fires back. Oh, there's Fury with the right hand. Wilder's hurt. Wilder's hurt. He wobbled. He almost fell over